And martial arts brings a lot of confidence to kids. And team sports are good too because you need to learn to work in a group. But there's a lot of blame in team sports, whereas in individual sports, when you lose, you just weren't good enough. Period.
Yeah.
You have to work harder. You have to be more disciplined.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Life of Dad Show. Here in the Life of Dad Show, we talk with athletes, actors, entrepreneurs, CEOs, musicians, entertainers who've all made a name for themselves, but the one thing that is most important to them is being a dad. On this week's episode of the Life of Dad Show Rewind, I'm showcasing the interview I did a few years back with Freddie Prinze Jr. Talk about his role at the time as Kanan on Star Wars Rebels. We talk fatherhood and a whole lot more. Really cool guy. I think you guys are going to dig his take on fatherhood. So let's go back to episode 115 of the Life of Dad Show on the Life of Dad Show Rewind with Freddie Prinze Jr. Enjoy. Hey everybody, it's Art Eddy, and on the line, I'm happy to have actor, father, and now Jedi, Freddie Prinze Jr. Thanks for taking the time, Freddie. How you doing, man?
Thanks, man. That's the best intro ever. Nobody's ever said that before. That's awesome.
Well, it's awesome to have you on the show. I got to say, first off, my family, my daughters and I, and my father-in-law, we went to see the screening of Star Wars Rebels this past weekend. Bravo, man. My daughters loved it. I loved it. The whole crowd loved it, especially, with Star Wars. Even George Lucas will get flack here and there for certain things that he does. There's always pressure from the fans. So for you, did you and the rest of the crew kind of feel pressure when you started making this series?
I mean, I can't speak for everyone else, but for me, it was a tremendous pressure. Star Wars is in my DNA. I'm of the age where when the first trilogy came out, it was, professional wrestling was still real. So Star Wars was as real as that. You know what I mean? So yeah. When I get these monologues and it's talking about the Force and it's strong in this person and paths to the dark side and what happened to my Jedi Master, I mean, it's huge, man, because for me, it's historical reference. So, you put a lot of undue or maybe it's due pressure on yourself, but it's there either way.
Love it, man. That's so cool. And the cool thing in the series, it's going to be premiering on Disney October 3rd.
Yeah.
Your character was kind of holding back the fact that he was a Jedi. Obviously, the Empire was hunting them down after Order 66 and all that. You kind of mentioned a little bit about your Jedi Master. Will we be able to see more of your character's backstory? Because I think it's really intriguing. Hopefully we will, right?
You're going to eventually get the entire backstory and all the hardcore details that went into it. A lot of hardcore fans worried when Disney bought Lucasfilm that this would be, very vanilla ice cream. But have those people never watched a Disney movie? Like Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty, forget the movie, is killing people. Like, she's a horrible person. People die in Disney movies all the time. It's not just roses and ice cream 24/7. So the show has already dipped into that. And I'm so glad they announced season 2 because you get a lot more. And as you will with all the characters, but especially with Kanan, you're going to get every question that people have is going to be answered.
Nice. 2 things. One, you're so right about Disney movies. Like every time, like Frozen or certain things, we're like, yep, you hear the music, it's coming in. Like, yeah, someone's about to, meet their maker. So
I'm saying it's not happily ever after until the very end.
Yeah. Besides being a Star Wars geek, I'm also a comic geek, and I think what Disney and Marvel did for the different Avengers movies and everything was fantastic. So for people to still be nervous, I don't get it. But you mentioned season 2. I'm glad that Disney already ordered season 2. Congrats on that. That's huge for you guys. You haven't even done the series, like showing it on television yet, and you got it. So that's awesome. Do you think that now that you have season 2 and you mentioned the backstory, do you think that the series Rebels will lead up to episode 4?
I don't know. They don't give me that much information.
Okay.
I don't know if we're the perceived appetizer for that or not, if that answers that clearly enough for you.
Sure.
That I certainly can't answer. I don't know who the person, they'll probably tell you if you just ask the Disney people, but they certainly haven't told me.
Okay.
So that I don't know. I wish I did though.
You kind of talked to it before about your passion for Star Wars, and anytime, like I remember watching a documentary, I think with Sam Jackson and Ewan McGregor when they first got their lightsabers. It was like they said it was like the coolest thing. You now have your own signature lightsaber, man. How cool is that? And did you have any involvement to what it would look like?
No, I have no say in what that looks like, and Dave and the team back there have a million different lightsabers that they can sort of say, ooh, I like this piece with this, and let's see how this looks with that. And as long as I got one I was happy. And the stuff that I've learned about kyber crystals since getting this job is freaking phenomenal.
Nice, man. Did you ever think he'd be talking about kyber crystals in your profession, right?
I'm saying, man, like, you got to understand, I'm 38 years old. I still play video games. I still like specific anime, not everything, but specific anime. I love science fiction. They're the only nonfiction books I really read.
Yeah.
So to go to work and basically do the exact same thing, it's just stupid, man. It's just dumb. It's not even fair.
Nice. A couple more questions before we get into fatherhood. Which character, I'm not saying, tell us if you know it or not, but for your own preference, which main character from the Star Wars storyline would you love to see in Rebels if they could, adapt that storyline into Rebels?
Oh, man, that's tough, dude. Look, if we could get a Mandalorian chasing us, that would be pretty sick.
Nice.
Is the Inquisitor a step up from intergalactic super famous bounty hunter?
Yeah.
If it is, then I don't know if we would go backwards. So, you know what I mean? Unless they put out a bounty on it. Maybe, if we could get a Mandalorian after us, I would be stoked. He's my favorite character from all the movies. So.
Yeah. And I heard he's going to be back in the J.J. Abrams movie. So I heard, again, it's the internet. You don't obviously can't believe everything you read on the internet. But yeah, it'd be cool if Mr. Fett was back.
I've heard the same stuff, man. I really hope it's true. I don't know why. I always connected to those. In Clone Wars, when they did the whole pre-business storyline, they had Darth Maul and they had that epic saber fight where he had sort of that black commando blade saber versus Darth Maul. That to me was just, it was the ultimate sort of technology at its highest, along with discipline training versus Sith warrior ninja skills. And you got to see this debate take place, and there was a clear-cut winner at the end of it. Yeah. No pun intended, by the way. But you got to see technology triumph, and then you got to see ninja skills triumph. It was amazingly done, and I already kind of had such good memories of Boba Fett. That was my favorite action figure when I was a kid. Like I wasn't a big Transformers guy. Although I had a few Autobots, but the Star Wars collection was what I had. That was in its completion. I had the Darth Vader case full. It was it was overflowing. The buckles on the side broke because I had so many guys in there. But Boba Fett, I don't think that's separate because he was just the coolest.
Freddie, that's awesome because right now I'm in my office right now, my studio. And I actually am looking at, I have when I was a kid, because I'm 35, so I'm a little, 3 years younger than you. I'm staring at my C-3PO and my Darth Vader plastic case from the day. And my daughters, I have the Ewok Village. My parents were pack rats, so they're playing with the Ewok Village, man. It's hilarious, so I love that.
Oh, you still have the Ewok? That's crazy. My cousin Chris has that. Only rich kids got that. Were you a rich kid?
It was my parents, my grandparents from both sides, and my aunt and uncle, because I fell in love with the Return of the Jedi, so that was
man.
That was everybody's gift towards me, and I think that might have been my birthday / Christmas gift. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That village was no joke, man. Yeah. No joke.
Here at Life of Dad, we love getting people's take on fatherhood. I know I could talk your ear off about Star Wars, but let's move on to fatherhood. What are some of the morals you look to instill into your kids as they grow up?
My uncle, James Barber, was a Vietnam veteran. He was in the Army, and he was one of three main sort of father figures in my life and was certainly the strongest. And he believed in standing up for people who couldn't stand up for themselves. I remember I was in the 6th grade. I saw this kid get beat up by an 8th grader. And I didn't do anything. The guy was big, Yeah. And my uncle taught me how to fight. He was big into martial arts, and my godfather's Bob friggin' Wall. Instead of learning how to throw spirals, I learned the 1-inch punch. I learned how to choke guys out, Gene LaBelle, when I was 8 years old. So, I knew how to fight, but I still didn't. I was 12, you know what I mean? I wasn't trying to go up against a 14-year-old, and I saw him beat this kid up. And I told my uncle when I got home, and he got mad at me that I didn't stick up for this kid. And he said, what kind of man are you? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I get kind of choked up even saying it, but he said, a real man stands up for people who can't stand up for themselves. If you're any kind of man of mine, you're going to know that. And so the next day I went to school. His name, I won't say his last name. His first name was Josh, and I grabbed him from behind and I whipped him so bad that he never had a chance. And I got sent to the principal's office, and my uncle came to pick me up, and he played like he was real disappointed and mad at me in front of the principal. And then when we got out of there, he patted me on the head and took me to Uncle Cliff's, which was the local amusement park in Albuquerque, Mexico. And he called me a punk buster. That's what he called me. He said, you see somebody that's bullying someone, you stand up for them. You let that guy know he can't do that anymore. And that may sound extreme, but in the 90s, it wasn't. In the 80s, it was. For my kids, I just want them to know, I don't want them to ever be a bully. I don't want them to ever be bullied. I want them to be self-confident. I want them to know they can take care of themselves. And so those are the main things I try to instill in them. My daughter's taken jiu-jitsu since she was 3 years old. She can choke me out already. She's a deadly weapon. And martial arts brings a lot of confidence to kids. And team sports are good, too, because you need to learn to work in a group. But there's a lot of blame in team sports, whereas in individual sports, when you lose, you just weren't good enough, period.
Yeah.
You have to work harder. You have to be more disciplined. You have to wake up earlier than your opponent. You have to eat better than your opponent. And you have to train harder than your opponent. And that really instilled a lot of confidence in me as a young man. And so that's what I hope I'm able to give my kids. That would be the main thing.
Nice, man. You're already pumping me up. I feel like I should sign up my kids for jiu-jitsu right now. That's fantastic. And also, too, please tell your uncle thank you for his service.
Man, I'll send you his words. He passed away, but he was an awesome guy. And if he's listening, I know he heard that.
Excellent, man. And then you kind of touched on it, the time that you were growing up to now. What was like the biggest change that you've evolved, I guess, or has happened since, that you're growing up to now where your kids are growing up? It could be like the internet, social media, or like, what do you think the thing is?
You took the words right out of my mouth, man. I'm working on it. I just joined Twitter, and one of the reasons why was to see what the interaction was like and to be able to, help loved ones, kids, whoever it is out if they get destroyed on it. Because I deal with stuff pretty well. I don't take things to heart. I'm a pretty zen out guy. I don't think about the past too much. I don't think about the future. I try to just, stay in the moment. So that really is the main thing that I'm hopeful that self-reliance will give my daughter the means to deal with that. Because I don't know what kind of advice to give her. I haven't been completely hated on yet.
Yeah.
Took a picture of this book that reads How Not to Be a and I guess if somebody really comes at me hard, I'll send them that picture. It's a good book. I mean, everybody should read it. It really is a good book. It's probably internet because there was none when I was a kid. I remember my computer was solely for this program called Logo, which was like an early computer aid drafting type thing.
Yeah.
And Sid Meier's Pirates. And that was it.
Nice.
No two programs were better than those two programs on my computer, on my Apple II Plus.
Nice. Ryan Hamilton, one of the guys that works here at Life of Dad, he's our coder and our internet guy. He's going to love hearing that, what you just said right there. Here's the thing you can pass on to your daughter for interaction, social media. Just let the trolls be the trolls. Don't engage them, and she'll be fine.
You're telling me you can't save people that don't want to be saved. I'm hearing you.
Nice. And lastly, before we get into Life of Dad Quick 5, what advice do you have for new dads out there?
Man, patience. It's tough sometimes. My mom, the best advice she gave me about a crying kid at night was let him cry it out. She says, you're going to feel like the worst parent in the world. She said, but if it's not steady crying, do not go in there, Freddie. Do not go in the room. And the first night, I slept literally outside the door. And if it was more than 30 minutes, I called my mom at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And if it was more than 30 minutes, it's okay to give him a little pat and let him know you're there. And you can even take him out if you really have to calm him down. But then you're back out, and you don't go back in unless it's a steady stream for 30 minutes. I'm telling you, man, for 48 hours, I felt like the worst human being in the world. After that, my kid slept from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and still does every single night. Like, it's amazing, dude. Like, it's about self-reliance. It's about letting kids know, yeah, I cried, I missed them, it sucked, but I woke up and everything was okay. And then they know they can do it. And I would give that because that will help with the patient. Sleep helps with the patient.
Yes, it does. You've knocked it out of the park right there, 100%, man. And here we go with the Life of Dad Quick 5. Do you guys have a favorite family movie that you guys like to watch together?
It goes in cycles. It was Mulan. It was Tangled. It was Frozen for quite a long time. It was The Rescuers before that. She didn't jump on The Rescuers Down Under like I thought she would. She was more an original, an OG Zsa Zsa Gabor type girl. But yeah, and then hopefully it's going to be Rebels, man. We're going to sit down, and she hasn't seen it yet. Sarah and I have. But we're going to sit down. She can stay up late. She can see popcorn and watch Dad Be a Jedi.
Awesome family time right there. Do you guys have a favorite song that you guys like to get up and dance to? Like if she hears a song and she just like start dancing, you're like, all right, I got to follow suit.
There's this god-awful song that me and this dude, Andy, who did the voice for Brack on Space Ghost Coast to Coast, that he's saying called The Song That Never Ends.
Oh, yeah.
And you remember this?
Yeah.
So at night, night when I used to take her to the bathroom, I would sing that song when she was little, and now she knows it's really annoying, so now it's her like favorite song to sing with me because it's the song that never ends. I can't ever leave the room. But she won't dance to that. If it doesn't have a beat, she'll seriously be like, Dada, we can't dance to this.
That's awesome. I like that. Nice. Describe the perfect family vacation.
Ooh, it's been a long time since we had. When you have little kids, they're not vacations, they're trips. As they get older, then they turn into vacations. So I'm trying to remember the last vacation we had with our kids, and I can't seem to. But if we could go to Hawaii and surf some waves and I can get my little one up on the board, that would be awesome.
Nice. Just want to say you had the exact same answer as Grant Hill about funny, family vacations, man. That's great.
My ankles are about as healthy as his, too.
Well done. Last two questions are Star Wars based. I think we already know this one. Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Yeah, that's Boba Fett. That was a secret for a long time, but it came out a couple days ago.
Okay, nice. And best film from the saga so far?
My favorite is Empire Strikes Back,
yes.
But I'm 3 years older than you, and so as a kid, you were saying you were a Jedi kid. I've always had a question about Jedi that I've never gotten an answer to.
Okay.
Where did Princess Leia get to change the clothes in the Ewok village? You see what I'm saying? Did they capture someone else and kill that person? Did they just know how to sew for human beings and they made her that sweet Ewok down? Like, I don't understand where those clothes came from.
First off, my favorite movie is Empire Strikes Back. I love the Ewok Village, but Empire Strikes Back was just awesome.
It was like a full-on action movie with sci-fi. It was awesome.
Yeah, every time I was sick and I'd stay home from school, my mom would make me some soup and just pop in Empire Strikes Back, man. That was just like my favorite movie of all time. No, but I'm guessing the only thing I could say is in her backpack, she might have had a change of clothes. That's the only thing.
She brought some formal wear. All right, some jungle formal wear. I'm with it. So all right, you had an answer to that. Maybe you'll have an answer to this. Okay, so light has no endpoint. We all can agree on basic physics from high school. Light has no endpoint. How the heck do they control the lightsabers? How do they adjust the height on that? Is there an invention that we don't know about? Is it plasma or magma and they control it with magnets? I don't understand.
Two things.
I don't understand.
No, it's two things. I think they did like a science breakdown of like, can Star Wars actually happen? And one of the things was a lightsaber. And they said in our technology it couldn't happen because the light would just shoot up and go to infinity.
It would be gone. So in the Star Wars world, there's a device that they've created that we can't, and it controls the light. Is that it?
Yeah, I heard two theories, and again, it's just whether you believe them or not. One is the Kyber crystal kind of controls it, and two,
right.
The Force, a connection between, before like the Clone Wars and everyone, like Anakin always losing the lightsaber, they always had like, you know, when you constructed your lightsaber, that was part of you, that was an extension of you. And they said that the Force could control the length of the lightsaber because you bonded with that lightsaber. Getting very meta, I know.
But it's almost a combination of the two theories.
Yeah.
All right, I'll buy that.
Nice.
I'm not sure about the jungle chic wear on Leia, but I'm buying the Kyber crystal argument.
Awesome. People, make sure you check out Star Wars Rebels on Disney XD. We'll have links up on Life of Dad. Congrats on the series, man, and also getting picked up season 2 already. I loved your past work in the films and TV shows, and continued success with everything you're doing. We really appreciate you sharing your fatherhood stuff here.
Hey, man, no worries, and thanks for sending love to the show. And one of the coolest storylines that people won't even know about because it'll go too far under the radar until it's right in your face is the dad backstory. And when you find out what this beast has gone through, if Wookiees could speak and make you cry, that's what this is going to do. So look forward to that.
I can't wait for that. Awesome. Thank you so much, Freddie.
Yeah, man.
You take care.
All right, you too, bro. Peace.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Life of Dad show. You know where to find us, lifeofdad.com, and on Twitter and Facebook.
Noise you couldn't quite locate or explain. Couldn't quite locate or explain.